In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the TIE Fighter pilot for the original Trilogy collection. I'm fairly sure this is just a straight repack from the original version, which was towards the end of the Saga line, around 2003 and 4, and then less than a year later, end of 2004 and into 2005, he ended up getting repacked in, of course, the original Trilogy line. So personally, this is one of those action figures I distinctively recall back in 2004 and 2005 when I was getting a lot of those action figures, and they came with a pamphlet. I recall seeing this guy in the pamphlet, and I pretty much had all the action figures that were featured in it, except for this guy. And he remained elusive for me at the time. I distinctively recall thinking, man, I would really like to get a TIE Fighter pilot. But I never found him at retail at the time. And then fast forward, I think I got this guy on eBay. It was definitely on eBay, but it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago now at this point. It could be 4, though. Within the last 5 years, I'll say that. But I finally added him to my collection, and quite frankly, after getting him, I think this is one of the most underrated TIE Fighter pilots that Hasbro's ever made. I only paid maybe $7 for him loose, which was not a bad deal at all. And quite frankly, he serves his purpose as a TIE Fighter pilot. He looks good if you just have him standing in the background with the rest of your pilots. He's in a pretty good pose. And then if you want to put him in a TIE Fighter, he seems to fit perfectly in just about all of them. So if you're on a budget and you really want a collection of TIE Fighter pilots, or even just one that's as cheap as possible, this one's definitely one of the best contenders that you can get. It's not taking away from like all these guys here from Legacy Collection, 30th Anniversary, and so on. But this guy's really good. As far as the sculpt is concerned, it's pretty basic. It's not quite 5 POA, but it kind of appears that way. Because like in his left arm here, that's about the only position you can really get him in. But there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. As far as the head sculpt is concerned, I think it's pretty good. Helmet is a little bit on the larger side, I think, and because of the way the tubes are positioned in the control box here, he does have a little bit of that looking up pose to him. But it's not really a problem at all. And then if you had him sitting inside of a TIE Fighter, you'd probably barely notice it. And if you really wanted to, you can take those breathing tubes out. But you can't really force the helmet down much at all, because the helmet is not on a ball joint, it's on a swivel. It does have the Imperial emblems there. He has quite a few Imperial emblems on him, on both shoulders and then on the helmet. So you can definitely tell that this guy's part of the Empire from a mile away. Paint's pretty basic, it's just all black, but there are some extra colors here, like in the control box. The visor is all black. He does have some colors on the comm link there. Silver belt buckle. In terms of articulation, it seems like it's basic, but he pretty much serves all the purposes you're going to need him for. He does have a swivel at the neck. As I said, with the tubes in, it's a little bit restricted, but you're not going to have him looking around too much if you have him in TIE Fighter anyway. But if you did take those breathing tubes out, you can pretty much rotate it all around. He does have swivel shoulders for both. Then no articulation in this elbow, but this one, it's more of a swivel bicep. You could argue that's an elbow. Then a swivel forearm for both sides. Nothing at the waist, but then swivel hips, then hinge knees, and nothing in the ankles, but that's alright. So if you wanted this guy in a TIE Fighter, kind of gives you an idea what it would look like. And that's pretty much the only pose you're going to need him in anyway. Then if you really did need the bend his knees a little bit, you can do that. So I think the articulation's pretty good for what it is. As far as accessories, he's pretty light, but he just has the E11. Nothing special about that, but it does fit well in his hand. No holster or anything. Then, like a lot of the other original Trilogy collection action figures, he did have a stand. Not sure if it's specifically this one, but even though I got him loose, he did come with a display stand from that era, and it was pretty much in this color. And I've talked about these stands a couple times before, and I always thought they were really good. They have these connectors on them where you can have them all lined up together. And he always fit pretty good on it. Something like that. I think that's pretty much all I can tell you about this TIE Fighter pilot here. So would I recommend them for your collection? I definitely would. Even if you have all these guys. I've shown most of them at one point on the channel before. But next, I do plan to do a TIE Fighter collection video because some of them I haven't really talked about, and there's really not much more I can say about them because they're all like same sculpts. The only thing that's different is minor paint differences. But I figure like a TIE Fighter collection video would be the best way to talk about them. But as I mentioned, if you're on a budget and you really want some TIE Fighter pilots, this is a great contender for you. You can find one brand new or loose for loose, probably less than $10, but brand new, maybe 15 or less. If you look in the right places, especially on eBay. And if you need TIE Fighter pilot to fit inside of like Vader's TIE or any TIE Fighter for that matter, I think this guy's a perfect fit for all those. The two that I have, he seems to fit pretty good so far. And then, as I mentioned, if you want one to stand in the background here, I think he fulfills that role perfectly. It's just a great action figure, very underrated. It's a good opportunity to get him in the spotlight. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for playing more in the future. There's always more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. And check out the links in the description if you haven't done so already. And as always, thanks for watching.